Everyone, this is my topic, pre-assessment. Learning objectives. After this presentation, students should be able to identify and explain the purposes of pre-assessment. Second, enumerate the material needed for pre-assessment. Introduction. Pre-assessment is a very important process in CBT. This is very critical for the identification of training needs and appropriate methods of training for each individual trainee. So, pre-assessment in competency-based training or CBT is very important because it shows what a trainee already knows and what they still need to learn. This helps trainers know the training needs of each person and choose the best way to teach them. It makes the training more focused, useful, and effective. Purposes of pre-assessment. First, to determine trainees' characteristics. Trainees' characteristics are inputs in the preparation and scheduling of the activities of each trainee. Training methods appropriate for the trainee will be dependent on his characteristics and learning styles. So, this means finding out the trainee skills, learning styles, and personal traits. Knowing this helps trainers plan the right activities, schedule, and methods that fit the trainee. It makes the training easier and more effective for the learner. Second, to recognize prior learning. CBT recognizes prior learning. This is especially important when planning the learning activities of each trainee. A pre-assessment is necessary to recognize the skills that are already learned previously through training or experience of the trainee. Before recognizing prior learning, however, pre-assessment should be done. So, in CBT, it is important to know what skills or knowledge a trainee already has from past training or experience. Pre-assessment helps identify these skills so the trainee doesn't need to repeat what they already know. This way, training can focus only on what still needs to be learned. So, it is recommended that prior knowledge are recognized. A. Self-assessment. So, self-assessment is the trainee checks their own skills. So, example, yung TNA natin, we rate our own skills by checking yes and no. Letter B, portfolio assessment. So, portfolio assessment is reviewing documents or evidence of past work or training. For example, a trainee submits documents or evidence of past learning like certificates, photos of completed projects, or a logbook of previous work experience. Letter C, interview. Interview means asking questions to confirm knowledge and experience. Example, a trainer asks questions from the trainee about his personal information and knowledge about the CBT, like that. Letter D, demonstration method. So, demonstration means letting the trainee show their skills in practice. Example, a trainee is asked to perform a task in front of the trainer, like assembling a basic circuit or showing how to properly mix a cocktail in bartending. Third, to determine training needs. After assessing the skills of the trainee, Forms 4.3 and 4.4 are used. This will summarize the training needs of each trainee. Pre-assessment activities. First, determine the time for each student to accomplish all forms. Write down on the board before the pre-assessment starts. So, as you can see, there is a type of test and time to finish a question. So, here in type of test, there is a time limit, like Example, true or false, the time limit is 15 to 30 seconds. Number 2, explain the purpose of pre-assessment, which are the following. A, to determine the learner's characteristics. So, this aims to identify the learner's individual traits such as learning styles, interests, attitudes, motivation, and prior educational experiences. Understanding these characteristics helps the instructor create an engaging and supportive learning environment that accommodates different learners. Letter B. To determine current competencies. Pre-assessment helps identify what learners already know and how and can do in relation to the course outcomes or training standards. By determining their current skills and knowledge, instructors can avoid teaching content that is already mastered and focus on areas that need improvement. Letter C. To recognize prior learning. This purpose acknowledges and gives credit to the knowledge and skills that learners have gained through previous education, work experience, or self-study. Recognizing prior learning prevents redundancy, saves time, and motivates learners by valuing their existing competencies. Letter D. To determine training needs. By comparing learners' current competencies with the required competencies of the course or job, pre-assessment helps identify specific gaps in skills or knowledge. These gaps indicate what areas need to be addressed through training or instruction. Letter E. The data gathered will be used to adjust learning methods, facilities, or resources to fit individual training needs. The information collected from the pre-assessment enables instructors to modify teaching strategies, learning materials, and even classroom or laboratory setups to better support learners. This ensures that the training process is personalized, inclusive, and effective for everyone. Next is plan adjustments for trainees' special needs, such as the following. First, providing written instructions for students with hearing problems. Second, using large print reading or recording the questions on audio tape. The student could record the answers on tape. Third, having an aide or assistant write or mark the answers for the student who has coordination problems, or having the student record the answers on audio tape or type answers. Number 4, using written assessments for students with speech problems. Number 5, administering the test in sections if the entire test is too long. Number 6, asking the students to repeat the directions to make sure they understand what to do. Lastly, starting each sentence on a new line helps students identify it as a new sentence, including an example with each type of question, showing how to mark answers. Number 4. Check to see that directions for making or scoring, point values, etc. are included with each type of item. Number 5. Decide if students are to mark answers on the test, use a separate answer sheet or use a blank sheet of paper. Number 6. Make an answer key. This is easy to do as you write the questions. Number 7. Prepare the following forms for the pre-assessment for each student, like for Form 4.1, Form 4.2, Form 4.3, Form 4.4. Questionnaire for determining learners' characteristics. We come now to the type of pre-assessments. The before the pre-assessment, during pre-assessment, and after the test. Before the pre-assessment. Written pre-assessment instrument or pre-test guidelines. Avoid instilling anxiety. Give as many of the necessary oral directions as possible before distributing the tests, but keep them to a minimum. Explain the purpose of the test. Give test-taking hints about guessing, skipping, and coming back, etc. Tell students the amount of time allowed for the test. You may want to put the length of time remaining for the test on the board. This can be changed periodically to help students monitor their progress. If a clock is prominently available, an alternative would be to write the time at which they must be finished. Number 6. Tell the students how to signal if they have a question. Number 7. Tell the students what to do with their papers when they are finished, or how papers are to be collected. Number 8. Tell the students what they are to do when they are finished, particularly if they are to go on to another activity. Number 9. Rotate the method of distributing papers so you don't always start from the left or the front row. Number 10. Make sure the room is well lighted and has a comfortable temperature. And lastly, if a student is absent, write his or her name on a blank copy of the test as a reminder that it needs to be made up. We come now to the during pre-assessment. First, distribute the following. A. Data gathering tool for trainees characteristics. Letter B, for Form 4.1. Letter C, Form 4.2. Second, ask trainees to fill up the questionnaire and forms. Time allotment is to determined by the trainer. Third, administer the pre-test. We come now to the after the test. First, collect the test paper and answer sheets immediately after a trainee finishes. Check the answers of the pre-test. This will be one of your bases in assigning trainees in their workstations. This is also an input for the RPL. Third, based on the data collected from Form 4.2 and the pretest scores, determine trainees who possibly have RPL. Fourth, set a schedule for interview and demonstration for trainees who are candidates for RPL. Fifth, after the interview and demonstration of skill, recognize prior learning by awarding certificate of achievement. 6. Record the results to the progress chart. 7. Identify individual training needs using Form 4.3 and 4.4. Assessment. Enumerate the purpose of pre-assessment and what are the types of tests. That's all. Thank you.